This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Man killed in Portland. A man was shot dead during an attack in Woodstock Heights, Portland on Sunday. He has been identified as 43-year-old Craig Sr. The incident happened sometime before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The police have since taken the alleged attacker into custody. Paulwell to boycott the next constituency debate if Harbor Drive drain is not fixed. A boycott of the 2023-2024 State of the Constituency debate is on the cards for the Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal, Philip Paulwell, if an outstanding project in his constituency, which he said puts the lives of his constituents at risk, is not completed by that time. Paulwell, who has been a Member of Parliament for 25 years, lamented that major drain works for Harbor Drive in Harborview, which falls in his constituency, have been ignored for the past 4 years. He complained of being slighted while making his contribution to the constituency debate last week. "We have had major drainage problems, and every time there's significant rainfall, there is flooding," lamented Paulwell. The government, through the Ministry of Finance 4 years ago, and repeated every year when we sit at the Standing Finance Committee, have made pledges, promises to fund the project, Paulwell added. He reminded the House that 3 years ago, $70 million was found in the budget, and I eyeballed the minister along with his chief technical person, and they said, "See, it's there, $70 million. Paulwell noted that the funds would have been attached to the South Coast Development Roadway being constructed by China Harbor Engineering Company. He said he was told then that the Harbor Drive drain would be done as a priority project. Not $1 has been spent so far, and the situation is dire. If there were to be a significant rain event, persons living along Harbor Drive and in the Harbor Heights community would be severely affected. Not only with their homes being washed away, but God forbid, lives could be lost as a result. And this has been outstanding for 4 years. Commitments have been given for 4 years every year, and it's going to take major destruction, death for some funds to be provided by the government," Paulwell bemoaned. "We can't wait any longer. That's the reason why next year I won't be participating in these debates if that problem is not solved," the veteran MP declared. 2 Westmoreland hotel workers mowed down by a woman who said she fell asleep at the wheel. 2 hotel workers were mowed down yesterday in Belmont in Bluefields, Westmoreland, and are said to be admitted in serious condition at the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital. When the news visited the scene, the driver of the ill-fated Toyota Axio motorcar, who identified herself as Julian, said she briefly fell asleep at the wheel. "I fell asleep, and when I opened my eyes, I saw a car coming, and I swerved. I didn't know they were there," she said, as she climbed into the back of a police vehicle. Unconfirmed reports are that the hotel workers were walking home in the direction of White House when they were struck by the car that was traveling from the opposite direction, heading to Savannah Lamar. "Me hear the somebody under the car a bawl out, 'Help, help.' We assist them. We lift up the car and get out the first one, a male. And then him tell we say Jay, the female, under the car, and we lift up the car and get her out." A Good Samaritan who did not wish to be named told the news. The man said that after lifting up the car, the utility pole caught a fire, and he ran in fear of his life. "The community is left without electricity," he said, after the pole broke in half with the wires torn down. He said an ambulance later arrived on the scene and they transported the 2 injured persons to the hospital. A manager at the hotel reportedly rushed to the hospital on hearing the news. The 2 injured persons are said to be employees of the Bluefields Bay Villas in Bluefields, Westmoreland. High school in Kingston 20 on edge as armed clans emerge in grades 10 and 11. Administrators, teachers, and the parents of lower school students at a corporate area co-educational high school are on tenterhooks this morning as a shimmering dispute involving upper school boys appears ready to explode. The news is not naming the school in Kingston 20 based on requests from people who are working with the police to prevent the dispute from escalating. Some boys in 10th and 11th grades have formed gangs which are mainly linked to the neighboring communities where they live, and they are coming to school armed with knives, ice picks, choppers, and based on one report, guns, a news source said. We have been made aware of the dispute and started searching the upper school students, but then we found out that they were giving their family members and the neighbors in the lower school the weapons to carry in, so we are now searching everyone, including the girls who are putting the weapons in some strange places on their bodies to carry them in, added the source. According to the reports reaching the news, in a recent incident, 2 groups of boys faced off outside the school gate, and one pulled a gun which he pointed at his rival, who fled while patrons at a nearby plaza looked on. We have heard that story, but we are not sure that the boy who pulled the gun is a student at this school, because what we have found is that their friends who do not attend the school have been dressing in uniforms and coming onto the compound, the source said. Right now, what the principal has done is to tell the security guards that any student coming onto the compound must show an ID, as we are aware that these schoolboy gangsters are being helped by their friends, added the source. Last Wednesday, the school's administrators requested help from the police to conduct a search of the compound and some students, but there is no word yet on what was found. The principal is well aware of the dispute, and every day he spends hours looking on the camera and patrolling the corridors in an effort to prevent this from escalating. He grew up in an inner-city community, so he knows what is happening, and he has been going to the communities where the boys are from in an effort to stop it, at the source, another source told the news. All of us here are afraid, as these boys in the gangs don't take any talk from teacher or anybody, and we are worried about what next will happen. We have heard reports that they are using weapons to slap each other to print the maker's name on the blade of their faces, but luckily it has not passed that yet, the source revealed. The source pointed out that the boys in grades 7 to 9 who were well behaved and disciplined are now involved in the schoolyard gangs. This is just an explosion waiting to happen, and it needs the intervention of the Ministry of Education and the police. Even when you call PTA meetings, the parents of these problem boys don't attend, and the few that do don't accept that their little angels are gang members, added the source, as he pointed out that since the start of this year, at least 2 clashes involving students on school compounds have ended in tragedy. Violent confrontations between students have escalated since the resumption of face-to-face classes this year, following 2 years of online instruction due to the novel coronavirus pandemic. In March, 16-year-old Kamal Hall was fatally stabbed by a fellow student of William Knibb High School in Trelawney, and later last month, 16-year-old Michigan Campbell was fatally stabbed at the Kingston Technical High School in downtown Kingston, allegedly by a 17-year-old classmate who is now facing a murder charge. PNP to help persons evicted from Bernard Lodge to take legal action against the government. The opposition People's National Party says it will be helping persons affected by Thursday's demolition exercise on the outskirts of Clifton in Bernard Lodge, St. Catherine, to take legal action against the government. Opposition leader Mark Golding said a team led by PNP Vice President Norman Scott visited residents on Sunday afternoon. In a video posted to his Twitter account Sunday evening, Golding said his party intends to take action against the government's egregious practice of evicting people and destroying their homes without due process and without providing suitable alternate accommodation and a compensation for their lost investment.
Greetings. I'm in London, but I've been following closely the events concerning the demolition of people's homes in Clifton, St. Catherine, and I want to give you an update of what took place today. This afternoon, a team from the People's National Party, led by one of our vice presidents, Mayor Norman Scott, visited the residents of Clifton. Other members of the team were MP Fitz Jackson, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, Isaac Buchanan, and councillors Lawrence, Harris, Benjamin, Rose, Wint, Preddy, Garrix, Burke, and councillor candidate Chambers. Our team were warmly greeted and welcomed by the residents, and the discussion centered on the demolition of their homes, the impact on their lives, and how we can respond to their plight. Our councillors will come together to assist the residents with a contribution of funding towards their legal fees to seek full compensation. An attorney, Isaac Buchanan, will be assisting in legal representation on their behalf. The women's movement, led by Patricia Duncan Sutherland, is sourcing counseling services for the residents, many of whom are traumatized by this callous and wanton act by the government against vulnerable citizens who it ought to be protecting. We also intend to take other action against the government's egregious practice of evicting people and destroying their homes without due process and without providing suitable alternate accommodation and compensation for their lost investment. Time come.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.